Hi, it's me again, and yeah, no, I've been slacking a bit lately. Been slacking a bit with the videos, haven't I? Not least of which videos about the FOI requests, because I do like to go through the FOI requests that people have filed with the BBC to see if they get answered, because they very rarely answer any of mine, to be honest. But Mr. Wilmore, Mr. A. Wilmore, tends to get his answered. So this is what he asked, because he's talking about the statue, which we'll talk about in a minute. But it was interesting. On his one, I'll put the whole thing on the screen. I won't read the whole thing. Look. You kindly told me the proposed cost of the screen and fittings, along with the licensed scaffolding hire installation costs, was about £89,000. But then he goes on to say that the BBC said the estimated total cost of the restoration and protective work was £529,750 for that statue, the statue that shouldn't be there. The cost of repairs to the statue itself were not included in my original request, so please provide a full breakdown for the statue repair and reinstallation that came to a total of £529,715. And I like to, when I see these costs for anything to do with the BBC that you pay your licence fee to, I like to break it down into TV licences, because I can't really picture £529,000. But to be fair, that barely buys you a terraced house in Essex where I live nowadays. Joke. I've done this. So if you divide that number by 174.50, it comes out at 3,035. That's how many TV licenses had to be paid to do this work on a statue. 3,035, a small town's worth. Now, the statue, if you don't know a lot about it, I've got a quick summary from my good friends over at ChatGPT. Here. So it was commissioned in the 30s. Eric Gill carved the statue on site. And it says here that even at the time of unveiling, there was a controversy over the size of Ariel's genitalia. Ariel being the younger one. Why does the BBC need a statue of a young naked person hanging above it? Don't know is the answer to that. But let's carry on. But that isn't the main reason that it's controversial. If you don't know why, Gill, the sculptor, I can read some of it. I can't read all of this, but I'll put it on the screen. After his death in 1940, Gill's personal diaries came to light, revealing deeply disturbing details, including the sexual abuse of his daughters and of the family dog. And the BBC just spent over £500,000 of your license, hopefully not your, of licence fee payers' money to restore it. They didn't think to take it down. Don't you remember there was that big thing years ago about we were taking down statues? It was all the whole BLM movement and all that, bringing down statues of slave traders and stuff like that. No one thought to tear this one down. I know it's been defaced a few times and some people have climbed up on it, and that's why the BBC have done what they've done, to protect this statue. To protect it. They put a big bulletproof screen over it. So let's break down to the cost. This is what they spent. Repair 1 in 2023 was £24,900 odd. Repair 2, doesn't say the date, 177 grand, just for the scaffolding, licensing and the costs, £83,000. Professional fees, engineering, architecture, legal, security, £95,000. Stone coping and fitting, £9,000. Screen fitting and Jesus. So that protective screen to protect this statue, which is an abomination, it shouldn't be displayed. It's not appropriate having a naked child outside the BBC with a BBC's history, and then you look at the carver. There is no way on earth this statue should be anywhere near the front of the BBC. The BBC want to move on from all its controversies. They want to try doing the right thing. They put £129,619 into a protective screen to stop this abomination of a statue being defaced in the future. They did that. And then they chucked £9,218 on top to light it so that you can see it even if it's dark. Because they're that proud of it, they want you to see it even when it's dark out, to a total of £529,715. Yeah, there's a few more details. Public backlash and vandalism. The statue has been the target of protest and vandalism in January 22 and again in 23. Individuals attacked it with hammers, denouncing Gill as that word, which obviously, you know, I can't say that on here, and calling for its removal. One protester wrote on the statue phrases like, "Time to go" was 19... They're trying to make up, the BBC are saying we're trying to do the right thing, we're doing internal reviews, we're trying to make up for past problems that we have fostered within our organisation. And yet they're happy to not only keep this statue, but to spend £500,000 of your quid restoring it and protecting it from being defaced again in the future. Everything the BBC says about wanting to change its culture is complete and utter bollocks at this point, if they're prepared to do that. Is it not? In 2023, the BBC initiated restoration with expert stonemasons covering the work under insurance in April 25. It unveiled the refurbished sculpture enclosed in a protective glass case complete with a QR code linking to contextual information about the building's history and Gill's background. The project cost just over £500,000. The corporation stated it in no way condones Gill's abusive behaviour, which it said about certain 70s entertainers. Did it not? But argues for separating the individual's actions from his artwork, especially given the sculpture's architectural and historical significance. There's an argument for that. There is a small argument for that. But the BBC have to recognise that there's a small naked person outside the building that's had some problems. Not necessarily that building, it was the old broadcasting house, wasn't it? But the corporation who is in the building has had some problems in that regard. And, you know, the history of the sculptor. And you would think they'd want to remove that. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. What I do know is it cost over £500,000 to do that. Are you a licence fee payer? Are you happy that they've spent your licence fees on that statue? I wouldn't be. I'd be absolutely raging if I paid the licence fee. If you want to stop paying the licence fee and you want to know more about what you can and can't do, because it's perfectly legal to not pay the licence fee. I'm over 10 years. Many viewers on this channel have got more skin in the game than me. And have a look over at TV Licence Resistance Forum. And I've done a video explaining all the things you can and can't do if you don't want to pay the TV licence fee. You'll find those links in the description below. And you'll learn everything you need to know in order to not pay the licence fee yourself. While you're down there looking for those links, leave me a comment, hit all the buttons, do all of that stuff. Because if you do that, hopefully I'll get to see you in another video again soon, won't I? Ta-da.